Hello everyone. Let us see how to create a collage in Photoshop. So let us start. A collage is a collection of images of family, friends, events and occasions. So let's start creating a collage of this beautiful family. Let's start with an A3 size landscape document. So we'll just give it a name, collage, and here we can take inches as units of measurement, and we'll simply click on create. So we got an A3 size document, and the first step we'll be doing is we'll be creating a background. For an attractive collage we need an attractive background. That is a very important step. So let's create a background. So we'll be applying gradient. So let me select the gradient. Let's open the gradient editor dialog, and from here we'll select something color that is close to red, and we'll take a light red and dark red shade. And now we'll select the radial gradient style, and then we'll just create a radial gradient, but make sure that the light color is at the center. So for that what we'll do is we will just click on this reverse option, and then we will create the gradient again. So you need something like this. The light color should be at the middle and the dark colors should be at the corners. Right. So we got a simple gradient here. So now we will be creating some rectangle shapes, and we will be rotating those rectangle shapes in a specific angle to give some extra attraction to the background. To create these rectangle shapes, first we will select the pen tool, and make sure that you have selected the shape option here, and we'll give white color to these shapes. Right. And now what we need to do is we'll first create a shape. So something like this. So we'll use the direct selection tool to adjust this shape. Make sure that the shape is very thin. We need to keep it very thin, and the shape should look like this, something like a blade in a fan, a blade of a fan. Right. Then what we'll do is now we will create guides so that we can properly place this rectangle over these guides. So to create guides you need to first activate your rulers. So to activate your rulers, simply you have to hit Ctrl+R. See, these are the rulers. Right. From these rulers we will be creating guides. So simply just click over these rulers and then create a guide. And the guide that we have created is a horizontal guide, and we have placed it exactly at the center of the document. And we have also created a vertical guide. And now we will select the rectangle shape and we will place it exactly at the center of the document, and we will also adjust the bottom of this rectangle. Just we need to select these points and move them properly. Right. So you need to get something like this, and we'll make our rectangle a little bit thinner. We don't want a thick rectangle. Right. So we need something like this. Then what is our next task? So we are going to create the duplicates of this rectangle, and each duplicate will rotate in a specific angle. So what is that angle actually? So first we need to calculate. Let us say we want 24 rectangles. So we have to calculate. So how to calculate? So we'll open our calculator. So the circumference of the circle is 360, and we have to divide 360 by 24 because we want 24 rectangles. So that comes down to 15. So we need to use this 15 as the angle for each rectangle shape, so that we'll be getting 24 rectangles. So what we need to do is simply activate the transform tool, and we need to first change the center point for this rectangle. So here we can see the center point is currently at the center of this object. So we need to change the center point to the bottom corner of this rectangle. So for that, what we need to do is, here when you activate the transform tool, on your top left you can see a bounding box like icon. Currently this icon has white at the center. It means it is saying that the center point for this rectangle is at the center of this object or center of this rectangle. So we have to change the center point just by clicking at the bottom part of this icon. So something like this. See, currently you have changed the center point to the bottom of this rectangle, and now we need to rotate this rectangle. So what we need to do is, we have to rotate it, and we have to put the value 15 over here, and then simply hit enter. And now we have to use a keyboard shortcut to create the duplicates which are going to rotate by 15-degree angle. So the shortcut for creating the duplicates is Ctrl Alt Shift and T. So we have to just keep hitting Ctrl Alt Shift and T. Right. So now we got the duplicates. Right. So now what we'll do is, we will just scale the entire shape. So here we have the shapes, and we can merge this. We can just use Ctrl E to merge, and then we will scale. So we can center scale using Alt. So something like this. Right. So we need to get till here. So now we will just remove the guides. We can simply hit Ctrl and semicolon. We can simply hold Ctrl and hit semicolon, so that the guides will be deleted. Right. Then what we'll do is, we will get another background. So simply we will get the background now. So here we have the background. So I have downloaded this background from pexels.com. So just we will drag this background on top of this gradient background. So we can adjust it, we can stretch it, it's okay. Right. So now we will blend this background with the created background. So we will use overlay blend mode for this background, and for this rectangle shapes we will use soft light. So in the end you need to get something like this. So you got a nice blend between the rectangles and also this flower background. Right. You can also try other blending modes here. See, we can use multiply, we can use linear burn, okay, we can also use linear dodge, but I will stick to this overlay. Right. You can experiment. So now we have completed the background. Now it's time for us to get the images and arrange them properly and finish off our collage. So what we'll do is, first we will group our background. So simply select all the layers here and simply hit Ctrl+G to group all the layers, and we'll give the name background for this group. Right. So now let's get the images. So I have saved all the images inside a folder. So here all the images are there, and we will select a total of 5 images. So just I'm selecting the 5 images here. Right. And I have opened them, and what we'll do is we will first get our first main image. This is the main image, so we'll just drag it and place it at the center of our document. Right. And then what we'll do is we will just give it a simple layer style. Double click on the right side of this layer to open layer style dialog, and here what we'll do is we will apply a stroke to it, a simple white stroke, and here keep the position as outside, and we will increase the size so we can see here. So something like this. So we will put the size to 50 pixels. Right. And then we will turn on the inner shadow. See, we can see some extra attraction to this image, and we will also turn on the drop shadow. And for drop shadow we have to just reset all the values, because we need a black color drop shadow. So just increase the opacity for this and increase the size, and we will change the blend mode to normal. So we can see some change here. So even though it's mild, we can still see some change. We can see some change. See, so we can see a light shadow. Right. So the next thing we are supposed to do is we need to get the remaining 4 images. Right. So what we'll do is we'll get the next image. So just this is the second image. We'll make it small. And we can rotate it like this, just like this. And always use center scale. Don't stretch these images. Right. And what we'll do is we will apply the same layer style that we have applied for the center image. So what we'll do is we can copy the effects here. So what you need to do is simply hold Alt on your keyboard and drag the effects icon and drop it on the second image or the second image layer. Simply hold Alt and drag the effects icon and drop it over the second image layer. So we got the same layer style to the second image. And what we need to do is we have to drag the second image below the first image. So something like this. And we will scale down the first image a little bit so that we can see the second image properly. We are not going to cover the main areas of the second image, right? So now we will do the same thing. We will get the remaining images. Okay, this is the third one. So just scale it down. So what we need is, see, the size of this image is different. It's not the same. So we somehow need to get all the 4 images to same size. So the central image is going to be the large one. So this is the central image which is going to be big. The remaining images are going to have a same size. So what we need to do is, see, I am going to select the small image on the left side. Simply hold Ctrl and click on the second image layer thumbnail. So this is the second image layer. Okay, so we got a selection here, right? So we need to activate the marquee tool so that we can move the selection. And now what we'll do is we will rotate the selection using the transform selection. So we need to rotate it properly. So what we need to do is we have to fit the image inside this selection. So for that we need to actually cut the image. We might lose some of the areas of the image, but still we have to cut the image. We have to crop the image. So what we need to do is simply we have to select this layer, the image layer, and we need to invert the selection. So simply use Ctrl Shift I and just hit delete. That's it. So now this image is having the same size as the second image. So now what we need to do is we need to just select the layer style for the second image and drop it on this third image, so that the third image is also going to get the same layer style. So simply hold Alt and drop the FX icon over the third image. That's it. And we'll do the same thing. We'll drag the third image below the central image, something like this. And we will also rotate the image, so something like this. So we have to adjust the images properly. So we can give names to these images. We can say center image, so we'll make it a little bit big and we'll just move it down, and we'll also just move these images properly, adjust them, right. So I am selecting all the 3 images and I am scaling them and placing them exactly at the center of the document, right. Don't scale the images separately. If you do, so the sizes are going to be different. The sizes of each image is going to be different. So that is why we have to scale them simultaneously and scale them together, right. So now we'll get the remaining two images. So the next image is, so this is the next image. So we'll simply drag it and drop it over here. So we'll scale it down and we will do the same thing. So we are going to get this image also to the size of other images, the small images. So what we'll do, so we will scale this image. So we'll simply select this image, scale it. So we can just check the size. So we don't have to exactly match the size. It's okay if it is somewhat close to the size of the smaller images. Right, this looks better. So we'll rotate it a little bit, something like this. And now what we'll do is we will again copy the same layer style to this image. So we'll just hold Alt and then we'll drag the FX icon and drop it over this image. Right, and then what we'll do is we will just drag the image below the bigger image, the center image. Right, so we can just slightly scale the image, and we will be using the center scale. Don't try to stretch the image, to just use center scale. Right, so now we only have one last image to get. So this is the last image. So what we'll do is we'll just select the rectangular marquee tool and then draw a selection over this image, and we will just use the move tool and drag it and drop it over this or collage document. So then what we'll do is we will try to adjust the image properly so that it also has the same size as that of other images. You don't have to be accurate. It's alright if the size of this image is somewhat close to the other images. Right, just adjust it, try to match it with other images. Right, so now all we have to do is simply we will just hold the FX icon and then drop the FX icon over this last image so that we are going to apply the same layer style to this image. Right, so now we will scale the image and we will also rotate it, something like this. So just hold Alt and rotate. Right, so we will also try to adjust the sizes of all images. We want the center image to be a little bit big compared to the other images. Right, and what we will do with the other images is, so we will try to just move them a little bit away from the center images so that we can see all the other images. So something like this. Make sure that the alignment is also proper. The alignment of all images is perfect. Right, and we can slightly scale this image. Just right. So now what we'll do is we have adjusted all the images. So we will actually select all the images and we will simultaneously scale them and then just place them exactly at the center of the document. We will create some space. Right. So the next thing is we will also create a simple border. So we'll just create an empty layer on top of all layers, and then what we'll do is we'll just select the rectangle tool and make sure that you have selected the shape, and also we'll turn off the fill. And then what we'll do is we will just create a border, something like this, and we can also increase the stroke for this border. Right, something like this. And then what we'll do is we will apply a mask to this rectangle there, and then we will just select the marquee tool, rectangular marquee tool, and we'll do something interesting here. We'll just draw a selection from top to the bottom of the document, and then we will just hold shift and create another selection horizontally, so that this horizontal selection intersects the vertical selection. So something like this. Right. So it should look like some plus symbol here. And then keep the mask thumbnail active, and we will be filling this mask thumbnail with pure black color. So simply select the black color as foreground and use Alt plus backspace. And we can see here. So we can see the black has just trimmed the areas of the rectangle. So it looks something interesting. So now what we'll do is we'll just take a duplicate of this layer, and then we'll slightly scale it. We'll create one more trimmed border. So something like this. Right. This looks better. So something like this. And we will just adjust our images a little bit. We can just nudge them, move them a little bit away from the center image. Right. And the final thing that we'll be doing is, so we will be just putting a text here. So I will be using just a font that is Chopin Script Regular, and we will just type Family Memoirs. Right. We'll scale this text, and also we will give it a pure yellow color. Right. And we will keep it over here. And we can also give some layer style to this text. So we will use a drop shadow, but we will reduce the shadow size. We'll also reduce the distance, and we can also give some small stroke here, and we can give some different color to the stroke. So we can give it some okay, let's give it a dark red color. To finish off our collage, we will just use the text, and we will just mention the place where this family has taken the pics. So we'll just type Casa Maria Restaurant, Rome, Italy. Right, we will just adjust the text properly. We'll scale it down. Right, so then we'll apply the same layer styles to this text which we have applied to this family memoirs. So we'll just hold Alt and just drag and drop the FX icon over this text Casa Maria. So we can see here. Right. And one last change that we will do is, so here we will just select this masked rectangles, and what we'll do is we can actually trim them a little bit inside, something like this. So we don't want this to be too big. So what we can do is we can just apply black color, so something like this, and we can just drag the same selection and keep it on the right side, and then fill the selection with black color, Alt and backspace. Right, and we'll also do for the bottom ones. Just we will keep it over here, and also we will do the same thing for the corner ones. Just Alt and backspace. So it will be looking nice if it is short, if these borders are short. So just right, now it looks better. So we have finally finished our collage. So the last thing we'll be doing is we will give the final output to our collage. So what we'll do is we'll just take a common layer by using Ctrl Alt Shift and E, and then we'll just convert it into a CMYK image. So if we want to give it for print, we have to convert it into a CMYK document. So we'll just go to image mode and we'll select CMYK color. We'll just say don't merge and we'll just click OK. So the image is going to be a little bit light. Right. So now we will save the image as a JPEG file. We'll just say collage final. So this is our collage. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please do subscribe, like, share, and if you have anything to say, do comment. See you again.